I just want you guys all to realize one very important thing. You can't buy XRP below 50 cents anymore. And I can hear you thinking, okay, so what does it matter? Soon enough, I'll be able to buy XRP at 50 cents again. No, I don't believe that. I do not believe that the cryptocurrencies we know and love so much will actually get back to these prices. You have to understand, at some point, cryptocurrencies reach a level where they can never fall down as much anymore. And even though there is a world where Bitcoin crashes massively, and so XRP takes a hit as well, you have to understand that even though XRP is not fully decoupled, it is a lot further away from Bitcoin than it was a month ago. And so the moment that Bitcoin does crash, XRP might, not do too well, but not as bad to go down another 55 or whatever percent. Okay, I think it's actually only 35%, but you guys get the idea. But most importantly here, I was thinking, a lot of people have been asking me, Dusty, should I buy more XRP? Well, let's discuss what we think is going to happen over the next couple of months, the next cycle. And one thing I would quickly address here is people seem to be hinging on these massive partnerships that, at the end of the day, don't realistically rely too much on XRP, or opposite way, that XRP doesn't really have too much to do with. And I want to get you guys out of that notion. And before I tell you what I think you should be focused on, guys, make sure you press that like button, and also keep an open mind to all of this, as at the end of the day, our entire crypto journey is an unprecedented one. And what I mean with that is nobody has been in the situation before that we are in right now. New technology, new waves with, again, new technology and new laws. And that brings us to point number one. For the next cycle, let me tell you guys things straight up. I think it has officially already started, and here's basically what it would look like. XRP, Bitcoin, whatever, usually follow a similar pattern where, it follows Bitcoin's halving cycles. A couple months in, it reaches an all-time high and then it comes crumbling down. And here again, so this is the, let's call it the 2012 cycle, hit an all-time high about a third in before falling down and, last couple of months going up. The 2016 cycle went up, hit a new all-time high about a third in before crumbling down. Last couple of months, it went up. Yet again in the 2020 cycle, moved upwards, hit an all-time high about a third in before cooling down. And then again, the last couple of months, I think, which might be, from the beginning of 2024 on forward, is going to be going up hard. Then again, it could also be that the dip is reached the moment you bounce off the 200 weekly moving average, which could be the last couple of months. Or more specifically, it could be here June 19th-ish that week, as we did have a little bit of room below the 200 week moving average. But we basically might not be seeing that anymore from here on forward for a long while. Again, we are waiting for Bitcoin to break through some of the major resistances. But the moment that it does that, it might be go time for the next part of the cycle to start. And I think there's only one thing that could change everything from this cycle. What I mean with that is, history doesn't necessarily have to repeat itself, but I do believe for the most part it does. Then again, there's one specific thing I think might be different. And that has to do with there we go. That might have to do with the crypto regulation front. You know what? I'm feeling bullish. I thought let's change up the colors a little bit. Let's go for some nicer bullish vibes in terms of the colors. And I also wanted to put on something green, but who gives a crap, right? Anyway, the only thing I think that might change in this whole debacle is the whole crypto regulation front. Coinbase's CLO just said this: if we want to be taken seriously as a nation, we have to act seriously as a nation. This legislation would finally put the U.S. into the global conversation on digital asset regulation. Congress should enact this without delay. And they're going to be voting on this in about a week from now, which obviously is crucial. But as you guys might or might not know, I've been in the investment game for a significant amount of time. I've told you guys before, I manage a significant amount of money that people have often tried to discredit, but it does not matter. I'll tell you the story anyway. In this whole field, one of the most important things you do is connect with people. So you go to these conferences, you go to these meetings to connect with people that are either investment bankers, you could name, but mostly in the crypto space is not like that. You like to talk with the GPs from these funds, or just even associates, just anybody that has to do with, I guess, crypto investments or investments in the niche that you're also into. And whenever you connect and you talk, you usually talk as well about their philosophies on the crypto market, if you know some of these people better. And one of these guys, if you guys remember about a week or two ago, I had a little meeting and I told you guys about that in a video, kind of what I discussed there. And this guy was the one that told me Bitcoin's going to go to 69,000, which I think was A little bit of a lucky guess, I'm not too sure. But he's also so important in the grand scheme of things when it comes to crypto. A lot of you guys have probably seen him, but you don't really know who he is. And that's a fun thing about crypto. Many people are so important, but they're not influencers of sort. You don't know what the freak they do. You don't know how powerful they are or how much they've achieved. Or, fun fact, how much money anybody has. Because in the grand scheme of things, nobody really knows how rich anybody else is, right? Which is always a funny thing to think about. But to continue on with the narrative, he told me this, and please listen carefully. He says, what's going to happen is the same cycle is going to be applied like usual. However, one thing will change. This cycle might end a lot more viciously than any other cycle before has ended. So even though the bullish side, the upside, because of the regulation, because of everything, might look really well, in the next 2 years or so, they might be clamping down on crypto harder than ever before. And so, whereas usually you sell some crypto at the top of the market to buy it back cheaper, perhaps this time around, you might want to sell a little bit more at the top and be a little bit more hesitant with buying cheap for the time being. And what I'd just like to install into you guys' heads right here is, I don't think anybody buying crypto right now can go wrong, because I do believe almost every single crypto, for its own reasons, right? Here's, for example, Stellar, that in some other way, shape, or form is trying to also reap the benefits from FedNow and explaining basically how what they're doing right now with their on and off ramps is going to be the next big thing in terms of real world utility. It's really nice for XLM, sure. But basically, that every single crypto over the next couple of months is going to be working towards its all-time high. And so the only choice that we've got is which one will get there the quickest, which one will go the highest, and how we're going to transfer our money in the meantime to reap the most amount of benefits from it, and what is our strategy. But at the end of the day, I do believe, like Volumen whatever here says, that you don't really have to be too selective, because most cryptos will do exceedingly well and beat their all-time high. However, on the way down, a lot more will fill this time around, I think, than last couple of rounds. So expand upon that just before we move on into what our strategy is right now. I think that this time around, when things come down, more cryptos will crash 99.9% that will never recover. Every single cycle, many cryptos hit their all-time high and then never receive it afterwards. Many cryptos next time might get this due to lawsuits in a similar fashion as XRP had it right now, or just the regulation on the normal front, or because at that point crypto is so solidified into the system that so many coins will be kind of outlawed or become obsolete from the, but it's not properly registered or regulated perspective, that they might become a little bit more of niche cryptocurrencies, not as popular as the main ones. And from that perspective, XRP is very much ahead of the curve by already getting that regulation that other cryptos might only start to get after the next wave is finished, because a lot of these losses, like Coinbase and Binance one, will probably still take another couple of years to finish, and it might actually be after the next cycle. One of these things another investor told me is the way that they invest often, I'm going to say always, looks at the proper cycles, because they want to make sure that the tokens that they're hoarding right now are going to be popping off this cycle and not slightly after, or not the next cycle. You want it to happen this one. And so from that perspective, I think XRP is one of the best geared up ones for this specific cycle. So how are we preparing? What I'm doing right now, I'll tell you guys really simply, is going to be told to you after I talk about what exchanges I use a lot. I use BitGet a lot. It's an exchange that right now gives you a lot of different cool spins on this prize wheel. Basically, you do any one of these things, right? Any one of these things, and get yourself different spins to try it on this prize wheel, and let me know if you won something down below. Could win $100, $10, a MacBook, $2,000 of a Amazon voucher, $1, 100 BGB, a summer kit, or just a freaking thank you. But it's worth to check it out. You can use this exchange, I think, with a VPN, just some easy stuff. Check it out with the link down below. And Bybit has a better offer, as it gives everybody a $1,125 XRP trade for absolutely free, but you need to KYC to use this exchange. So even though I use Bybit all the time, and right now my trade is in a juicy amount of profit still, yeah, it's something you can check out, but you need to understand you need to KYC. You need to go through these steps right here. But it's very nice if you're new to trading and you just want to try it out, because that's a pretty juicy $1,125 for free. So my strategy. Right now, I'm buying a lot of these coins that have the most potential in the next run. Which are those? I think the ones that have the best chances of being in the proper regulatory field, as I think a very important bill, which is talked about at the start, is going through. They're going to vote on this next week, but it's not going to change everything just quite yet. XRP, XLM, and a lot of coins that are pretty akin to that changed the financial system and did not have a pre-sale akin to what Ethereum had to back that up. A lot of different people right now are talking about how XRP could potentially flip Bitcoin because it got the clarity. A lot of people are saying no, because XRP is still a security, or saying that Bitcoin has the legal clarity or Ethereum has the legal clarity. David Schwartz came in to say two different things. One is, what is that based on? If you're basing it on Gary Gensler saying everything else other than Bitcoin is a security being authoritative, then Ethereum, ADA, and Sol have regulatory clarity too, because that basically means that all of them are securities. because Gary just said so. And that would have meant XRP was a security too, which turned out not to be the case because Gary Gensler doesn't have that authority. But also, as DAI here said, that Ethereum, from many perspectives, really did basically sell or conduct these investment contracts in the past. And so there might be some trouble in paradise for these coins that did have either a pre-sale or are just selling as a company to other major investors, or that have proof of stake because, you know, the SEC and all that want to go after that a little bit. And so those coins, even though I still like a lot of them for what they do, Ethereum is freaking huge in every way, shape, or form. They're a higher risk factor than they were any of these other runs, especially right now with their initial focus on DeFi that's now kind of expanding onto staking and, like we just said, these pre-sales because of the Ripple case. It's only a matter of question, or I'd say a question of, will the prosecution of those be quick enough, or will a different injunction, like for example the bill that we're talking about just now, actually be there so quick and so accurate that it will prevent some of these cryptos from really not doing too well the next cycle, in a similar way as XRP had for the last cycle. So how do we prepare? How do we go? Right now, I'm buying a lot of those coins like XRP and XLM that are in a proper regulatory status. But even Chainlink and whatnot, coins that have a very massive vision, that are really pushing it right now. And XDC is another one of those that are really doing well. And even HBAR is one of those that are doing well in the grand scheme of things, specifically right now, though. I think personally that this time of, oh, let's buy Bitcoin first, though, this Bitcoin cycle to lead the altcoin cycle is already behind us. We had that when Bitcoin was at these lower prices going up to 30. Right now, I think altcoins are already starting to take over again in terms of being worth it. And so I'm mostly focusing on altcoins because if you look at the numbers, altcoins keep outperforming Bitcoin time and time again, day after day. If you look at the XRP versus Bitcoin chart, XRP is way outperforming, but a lot of altcoins are. So it's shifting already. This paradigm shift for Bitcoin being the best investment over the last couple of months to, from this moment forward, I think XRP and a lot of altcoins being better. And now, which altcoins am I going to buy later? I'm later on going to switch to whatever is the biggest niche this run, which again, I think I'm a little bit ahead of the curve, and a lot of you guys are too, by buying into the properly regulated cryptocurrency niche, which I think this run might be the biggest. So again, the XRP, XLMs and whatnot that might have not gotten official clarity, some of them, but are in that better field to get it. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, the next big runner up. And so a lot of people will be switching their Ethereum and all these other coins that are in a little bit of trouble, even Cardano and Solana, which I'm still bullish on, but in a little bit less of a nice situation, two coins that have got the clarity potentially. But also, of course, if that's not the major thing that cycle, I'll be investing heavily into whatever pops up. You know, one time we had DeFi summer, we've had the NFT craze, we've got so many different ones, and I always try to follow the trend. Again, how many freaking babies turned their $10,000 into $1 million or two, or turned $1 million into $100 million? You have to understand, I've seen it happen so many times. I am not joking with you here, that it's not too crazy to turn $10,000 into $4 or $5 million in a year or two if you're paying close attention. You look at history and you play your cards right with the accurate risk. Risk here being that you're not a little baby, let's call it that, but being like, oh, okay, I made some money, out. Elon Musk and all these guys, the reason they got so much wealth right now is because whenever they got $20 million, they were not too afraid to put that 20 million or maybe 19, whatever, back into use to get you more money. If you got to $1 million or two and you're comfortable now, that's fine. But don't expect the 20, the 100 million or whatever to come. Every single cycle, the thing that made me the most amount of money or that made me lose out on the most amount of money was all having to do with risk. If you're, and I guess being just appropriate to take actions, being quick on it. A lot of guys, and I know some influencers as well that you guys watch, they're quick onto trends. And I'd say I'm usually very quick too, but like for example, the meme coin season here, I capitalized on that pretty well, you know, because I was there early and I was just buying all the memes in the list, which did do me really good. If you were there a couple weeks later, though, you might have missed out on that and you might have not made so much money. Again, a similar meme coin season was there when Shiba Inu came up. If you were just buying everything at that point, you made crazy amounts of money. If you joined a couple months later, though, you might have not made that much or even lost money. It was a little layer one season with a lot of these coins popping up. There's DeFi season, and every time when a season comes up, you want to be quick on top of the trend. But if you pay close attention to my videos, I think you'll be there. I think 2 years ago, there were these gems that I kept on showing you. How are the majority of them doing? Absolute garbage. Did we know that was going to happen? Yes, because it follows cycles. A lot of those coins do really well for a short period of time and then fall off. Now, you always hope they're going to do well over longer periods of time, but very often, if you get to invest in them early, there's more and more supply that gets dumped into the markets as well, which is the same for a lot of these proper layer ones, right? Like the Sui, Aptos, etc. More and more of these tokens get dumped by VCs over time because there's vesting schedules, which means they don't get the tokens until later, every month, every quarter, or maybe only after a year and a half of being live. And you want to prepare for those things. You want to understand those things, which is why I always tell you, prepare for token unlocks, understand the cycles of Bitcoin that translate into crypto cycles, understand that every summer? Why aren't there major airdrops coming every summer? Why, right? Well, guys, I've been in the crypto space for 10 motherfucking years. I know this. Every single time there's a summer, most of these major activities, they stop. They cease for the summer and they resume back into like I'd say the October season or so. You might say August. Well, October usually is one of the best months because people get back into crypto after a little summer stop. Time and time again it happens. People might say, no, it can be disproven. Well, but this is the way that everybody in the crypto space feels it. And it proves itself by not airdrops, not a lot of these cool things that usually happen all throughout the year, except for in the summer. And I guess parts of spring too. But basically this season that we're in already, from a little bit late June, I guess begin July up to the end of September, usually is the most boring of periods. So what do? You're a little bit less aggressive in this area, in this time zone than later on. In the December area, right? October to December, I go really aggressive. And then depending on how that turned out, I go again crazy between January and March. But it depends on how the October-December season went. Usually October is the best area. Then again, if you want all the official data, I'd recommend just looking at it for yourself right here at the quarterly returns, Ethereum quarterly returns, or the monthly returns, and just do some simple calculations. I think a simple look can also bring into fruition that this month right here, right, historically has been pretty damn good. I guess here, July also looks pretty damn good. August and September look pretty damn bad, especially September here looks awful actually. And then I'd say again, this period here between January and March is a little bit dependable. Because February always almost looks good, but January is a little bit of a hit or miss, and April then usually being, again, a pretty bullish period right here. Like I'm trying to say here, no 2 years are the same. Everything will always change ever so slightly. But there are some patterns in here, and I'd say the most prominent parts are that Q4 is usually the nicest one for the crypto space, and Q3, the little summer period, with a little bit of autumn afterwards, usually not that nice. For the last couple of years, Q1 has been pretty amazing, but like I said, that's a little bit debatable because beforehand, Q1 used to never really be that amazing. And whereas Q2 before used to be awesome as well, the last couple of years has not been doing so amazing. So, things change around, I know. Potentially, if we were to analyze this more, we could actually find another pattern that has to do with these halving cycles based on all these months here as well. If any of you guys are in a researching mood, one thing I think would be quite interesting to do is for some of you guys to go ahead and calculate just if there's any specific correlation to the halving cycles that can be observed on, for example, a yearly basis. Like, okay, the halving cycle comes on in and the year after that is, especially a good one or not. For example, here, 2017, I'm not sure if that's this one or this one. It looks a little bit odd. I believe this one is 2017, right? Yeah, must be. But yeah, just look for yourself. It's 2017 and then, 2021. Are those specifically good years? Well, just looking at it from a simple eye, it might be observed that that's the case, but maybe if you do some proper calculations, it turns out that these years after the halving cycle are usually the best ones, or specifically a couple of months right after halving, and maybe we could use that data again to be a little bit ahead of the curve, ahead of the competition to make more money. If you've done one of those analyses, just share it over in Discord, or only share it with people that you like, or just share it with me. But those are the type of things